Good afternoon, South Africa, and welcome to Afternoon Express. I'm Danilo Aquista. So it's officially the start to summer, but the 1st of December also marks a very important day in our country, and that is World AIDS Day. You'll see I'm wearing my red ribbon as we're trying to raise awareness. We've come a long way in our country in the fight against HIV and AIDS, but we've still got a very long way to go. So joining us in the loft today are some very incredible people. First up, we've got Yolanda Y'awa, who's going to share a bit about her story of how she's coped. Plus, we've got the legend Pieter Dirk-Uys joining us in the loft. He's doing some incredible work to raise awareness in this field using his skills and talents. And then if you've ever wondered, we've always wanted to know what the role men play in this circumstance. And I think in many ways, men have been overlooked when it comes to the fight against HIV and AIDS. We'll be having a discussion about that later on in the show. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. So make sure you give us a call, 083-913-3728. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Afternoon Express. Now just remember, 34 million people worldwide are suffering with HIV. Plus, we've also got in our country alone 3 million people who are on antiretroviral treatment. So it's important that we have this discussion, and I want you guys to engage too. Claire, however, is standing by in the kitchen.
Thank you, Danilo. Yes, I am back in the kitchen with Mbali Ngidi, Woolworths product developer, and you're going to be making us something that's light, that's puffy, that's delicate. Tell us what it is.
It is a goat cheese soufflé with fig and hazelnut salad with the vanilla dressing.
Oh, that's so interesting. That fig, that vanilla, that's a fabulous combination right there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to finish that off with a beautiful baked peaches and mascarpone cream. So a nice meal there just to sort of kick off your Tuesday evening. Recipe is on the website, so don't forget to go to afternoonexpress.co.za. All the details are there and on the Facebook page. So please cook along with us. We love when you do that. And off to dinner on the couch.
Claire, I'm so looking forward to hanging out with you in the loft today and the rest of you, South Africa. So now our first guest, she's an acclaimed singer who's traveled the world performing with groups like Women Unite Marimba Band, as well as Coda, as well as having a successful solo career. She is also a fashion designer, mother of 2, and she moves audiences across the country with her motivational speaking. Joining us on the couch is Yolanda Y'awa. What an honor to have you join us today, Yolanda. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Yolanda, let's focus primarily on your career for a few seconds here. You know, you performed across the country and really have captured audiences. You've got an incredible sound to your voice. How did you get involved with the ladies from Coda?
That was in 2004 when I thought that I wanted to pursue a solo career, and I went to an artist management company, and by chance Carol from Coda was looking for a vocalist, and so I thought it's a great platform to build myself as a brand, and we were married to kind of like married to each other, you know, and it was just an amazing collaboration. Yeah.
And obviously, as a young girl growing up in Gugulethu, you must have had a lot of dreams and aspirations. Why music?
From a very young age, being a closer African woman, you know, with seeing, you know, like the beats, you know, music has always been a form of communication, you know, where you get to send a message, relate a message, where you get to heal yourself, you know, when you're feeling blue, or to make people happy. And I loved attention and also to make people happy, so it had to be music.
I loved attention, I like that. I think that should have been the first thing a lot of people mention when they enter the music industry. You love to celebrate your culture and who you are as a woman. I think that's incredibly inspiring. So what is the reason behind that? And sort of what is that message that keeps you fired up on the inside to celebrate who you are as a woman?
I think the challenges that I have faced throughout the years growing up, and seeing how my mom was rising above, you know, all the challenges that she's also faced, and her being a strong woman and a really great role model, and who was enduring so much pain from her own personal life, but she gave so much love to us and to the community. And what I then saw is a woman, you know, who was like, okay, you know, I have this pain, but this is just a drop in the ocean. And she used that pain to to bloom as a flower, you know, like just to
So
spread
beautiful.
love. Yeah.
And you became one of those flowers that I think bloomed from that. And I'd like to talk about what we're here to speak about today. And it's something that is, I'm very proud of you for coming on national television to talk a bit about it. But you suffer from HIV, well, you have HIV and have been dealing with this for a very long period in your life. And like you said, you want to spread a lot of light. You not only have lived your life with HIV, but you've thrived living with HIV. Tell us your story.
This year, I'm celebrating 17 years, going for 70, of living positively with HIV. And that was kind of like my 21st birthday. And I think I was just one of those blessed ones because as soon as I found out, actually, when I got the call from the doctor that I needed to go in, then I spoke to my mom, you know, and she just assured me that whatever the outcome, you know, she's always going to be there for me. So that was like a whole a load taken off my shoulders. And I knew that being HIV positive gave me the drive and the passion, you know, to make a difference in people's lives. And for me, because I love humankind so much, I just thought that, because I know that I'm strong as well, it's better that I'm infected than other people who can't actually take it, you know. And I love myself too much, you know, and I don't have low self-esteem issues. So and I just thought that I could use my
strength to help overcome
yes,
this.
and my creativity to just
Sure. 17 years is a very long time to have lived with HIV. Did you have any of your children, because I know you got 2 kids, were any of them born while you were HIV positive?
Actually, both of them were born whilst I was HIV positive at the age when I was 25, and they actually born in the same year. They're 9 months apart.
You were not wasting any time there.
I'm an artist. You know, when you're an artist, you need a story, a good story, you know?
So how did you go about treating that and looking after those children?
Obviously, I took precautions before giving birth to them. Was on nevirapine before, and I also had a scheduled C-section for giving labor, just to minimize the chances of me infecting them. And I was also on treatment. So I had like really great backup as well from my doctors and everything, and also family support and community support.
Sure.
So it was,
What's sad about our country, I think, is a lot of people don't have that kind of support. And I really would like you to share a bit of your words of wisdom to people out there who either have not been tested or have been tested and found out that they're positive. How do we keep going? How do you still find meaning in your life? How do you still take opportunities by the horns and really just live your life to the full? Because if you've done it for 17 years, everyone else can too.
Yeah. For me, what gets me you know, like moving and waking up happy, yet another healthy day, is knowing that everybody, you know, has challenges. You know, life is always going to have challenges. Otherwise, then life is not going to be beautiful without any challenges. And what actually also got me going was thinking that people, you know, are facing much bigger, you know, like challenges than me. And being HIV positive meant that I had now a control of my life, you know. I got introduced to medication, you know, healthy living, healthy eating, and having a positive mind. And the most important thing, loving yourself, you know, too much to know that you want, when I actually eventually die, you know, I just want to die still, you know, beautiful and
I love
the way
that.
that I am.
And you are an incredibly beautiful woman. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story. It really is inspiring to see how, like I said, you've thrived through this journey. And you said everyone goes through challenges, but there's always a light at the end of that tunnel. You can always use that challenge to share light in a very, very dark world. So Yolanda, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, South Africa, stay with us to enjoy Yolanda's performance later on in the show. But now we're giving away a Yolanda Y'awa fan pack to 4 lucky viewers. This includes a signed album, postcards, birthday calendar, and also some of her very own designer accessories. So all you have to do right now is SMS the keyword Express, your name and city to 33728 to enter. Remember, those SMSs cost R1.50. T's and C's apply and are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Enter now. Now, after the break, we make goat's cheese soufflés with fig and hazelnut salad, and we chat to an expert expert about the current state of affairs with regards to HIV and AIDS in South Africa. Don't go anywhere.
Fresh Pack. Goodness comes naturally.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. I'm in the kitchen and I'm making something that we've never made before in the kitchen, which is super exciting, and it's soufflé.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? We've never made soufflé in the kitchen
Oh
before.
my gosh, out of all the things you made, I can't believe
I
it.
know! And this one's a cheese soufflé, so it's a little bit different to your usual chocolates and whatnot. Where do we begin?
Okay, so firstly, you got to make a white sauce, also known as a bechamel sauce. Okay, so what you're going to do, on a medium to high heat in a saucepan, you're going to melt your butter. Then you're going to add the flour. Then you're going to make a smooth paste.
Fantastic.
You're going to take it off the heat, and then you're going to add your milk.
And then whisk, 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 so
Yeah.
you just stop the lumps from forming. And then you end up with this.
And then you put it back onto the heat to thicken it, not too long. And then you take it off the heat, and then you end up with this.
And we had that fabulous plastic on there because I know with, bechamel and roux that forms that horrid skin on the
Yeah.
top. So you want to kind of put the plastic in there and just
To stop it from
seal it all
forming.
up.
Yeah.
So what's the next step?
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to crumble the goat cheese up, and we're going to toss it into...
Can I help you do that?
That would be amazing,
I'll
please.
do the crumbling. I'm going to
Okay.
get my fingers all kinds of messy here.
And then we're going to add chives.
No, well, goat cheese and chives are fabulous, right?
it's-
Fabulous, fabulous pairing.
It's a great, and it's like traditional pairing. If
Do you want to give that a mix
Okay.
up while I get some more going? And the thing with goat cheese is quite a sharp, distinctive flavour. So you either got to go full tilt or stay away
Yeah.
from it. Some
big or
people
go
love it,
home.
some people
Yeah.
hate it, right? I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of goat cheese. I don't know about everyone else, but
Then-
the thing with this as well, I think you could always sort of substitute it out for another cheese, right?
Yeah, you can. You
What
can
cheese
use
would you use?
Gruyere, sorry.
Gruyere.
Yeah, there we go. So posh. Anyway, you can use that cheese. You can
Some
use
pepper?
Parmesan, yes. Some pepper would be great. Really, you can use any cheese. You can use cheddar, whatever you fancy. Okay.
What's next?
And then we're going to add egg yolk to this.
Okay, I'm going to help you with that.
That'll
Let's
be
add
great.
those egg yolks in there. And just kind of mix up. And we've obviously separated the egg yolks and the egg whites because the whole thing with the souffle is the egg whites. You want that fluffiness, that
Yeah.
puffiness and lightness. So if you had to add it all in together, you're going to end up with not quite that.
No, it won't be the same. It's just going to look like sham, goat cheese, and chive gunk.
And it's not the worst thing. If that did happen, you would probably end up with a yummy, almost like quiche.
It
So
will
like,
be.
don't fret if it happens.
Okay, there we go.
It'll be okay. Okay, so I'm going to carry on. Why don't you, what are we doing over here?
All
I
right,
see you've got a
so-
little bit of a black something in there. What's that?
So this is the inside of a vanilla
Of
pod.
course it's vanilla. What am
And
I
so we're
saying?
going to be making salad dressing. So what we're going to do, we have vanilla. Vanilla.
Yummy.
And then we have
Love vanilla. And then a little bit of, what's in there?
This is white wine vinegar.
Can definitely smell that vinegar. Give it a little bit of a whisk
Yep.
up there.
And then we're going to add some olive oil as well to
Fantastic.
it. So
Sort of your basics to a dressing, your olive
yeah.
oil, your vinegar. And I mean, vanilla is a little bit different, but it does pair fabulously with these figs, right?
it really does. And it gives it a nice sweet but
Sweet
elegant
and a little
flavour,
bit
yeah.
sort of zingy from the oil. And I'm just slowly folding this in.
What's nice about the vanilla is the texture and the black seeds up in there, which give it.
The seeds are key to this dressing. You can use an extract or whatnot, but you're not going to get that beautiful
go.
kind of bits in there. So I'm just slowly folding this in here, and then what's the next step over there for you?
So then we're
Look
going to
at
make.
us team working over here. Love it.
So we're going to make a simple salad just with rockets and fig and some hazelnuts, and then we're going to dress it with some of our salad dressing that we made.
This is quite a seasonal thing. Perfect and delicious for summer, right? Festive season coming
yeah.
up, holidays. It's going to be great.
You can zhuzh it up, you can add extra things, but for this we have figs. Cranberries will be cool if you want to use
Amazing.
it for Christmas.
And then over here, okay, obviously I'm going to sort of, what have we done here? We've kind of just put a bit of breadcrumbs and...
So we buttered the ramekins, and then we put some breadcrumbs into the ramekins, and this is going to stop it from sticking to the sides when it rises.
Of course. And like
Yeah.
the thing with souffle, it is quite scary to get it to puff up, but if you follow those tips and tricks on that sort of
You'll be
getting your
safe.
ramekins just right, it's
Yeah.
going to be okay.
No, you'll be 100%.
Okay, so I'm just going to finish up the souffle over here. What are you doing over there with the rest of the salad?
Okay, so I'm just putting the figs onto the onto the rocket,
Cool.
making it look.
And then
all
it's just really the
pretty.
dressing and
yeah,
some of these
and some
delicious
hazelnuts.
And I mean, you can happily pop onto the Afternoon Express website where all of these ingredients and measurements and methods are there. If you've missed anything, we're kind of skipping through a few things just to kind of give you a good idea. But it's all there. Go for it. And lastly with this, we just kind of add some hot water, right?
So we add the hot water, yes.
And then that's just going to slowly sort of help distribute and evenly cook up the souffle.
Yes.
Fantastic. And those goes into the oven for how long?
So it goes into the oven, 180 for 25 minutes.
Amazing. So while we do that, we're going to head over to Danilo on the couch. What's happening, Danilo?
Sounds delicious that side, guys, but it's time for us to get onto something that's very important to all of us as South Africans on World AIDS Day. 1 in 10 South Africans are HIV positive, according to a report released by Statistics SA earlier this year. Out of an estimated total population of almost 55 million people, around 6 million South Africans, that's just over 11%, are living with the disease. Now, are we on the road to managing this pandemic, or are our stats regressing? With us in the loft to shed some light is Colleen Herman from the Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation. Colleen, welcome to the loft.
Thank you.
So it must be a special day for the foundation today, obviously trying to spread as much awareness as you can. Every day should be HIV World AIDS Day.
Yeah.
Should be. Where are we at the moment in terms of our statistics? We've mentioned that, 1 in 10 South Africans are HIV positive. Is that better, worse? Where are we?
Yeah, so it's good to be here. So yes, 1 in 10 is positive, but that means that 9 out of 10 is negative.
Okay.
So that's better than that's good stats. When we look at 2004, so as a country we've progressed from 2004 till now, where we have about 6 million people infected, as you said, and about 3 million on treatment. So that's amazing stats.
Sure, that is amazing statistics. But Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, some of the worst statistics in the world.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Various reasons, multiple concurrent sex partners, denial initially, stigma, discrimination, and a host of other illnesses. I think we're needing to move to a place where we focus on prevention strategies, various prevention strategies, and then also those on treatment. The World Health Organization is calling for 90-90-90. So the approach in the next 5 years. So let me say in 10 years, we've done amazing.
Yeah.
We've gone in leaps and bounds to get 3 million people on treatment in 10 years. So if we're looking towards 2020 as our goal, we need to get at least to double up the numbers from 3 million to 6 million, to getting everybody on treatment. So that's the aim, creating awareness, continuing awareness, various groups, key populations like MSM, commercial sex workers, so key populations, and driving awareness in these groups, getting people to test so that at least 90% of South Africans know their status, and then at least of those 90% get onto treatment by 2020, and then at least of the 99 of that group, at least 90% get to viral suppression. So that's our goal.
We've got a long way to go. We've got a long way to
do.
go, but it is achievable. I already noticed with the antiretrovirals and when that was introduced, I mean, we've seen a huge amount of growth. People now living with HIV, and like we've heard, Yolanda Y'awa's story, 17 years, she's going strong and she's still thriving and doing more with her life. So we are seeing a culture in our country, like you said, that is stigmatized around HIV and AIDS. What are some of those stigmas, and how do we try and break these as a country?
I think various ways. I think the awareness would be key. I know current school health stats says children as young as 10 are becoming pregnant. So we're needing to look at primary school, in my opinion. We're looking at primary school and starting our awareness at that level, and then moving on to secondary, and then obviously in tertiary cementing what we've learned. But we can't start late. And we can't continue to live in denial that this is not a problem. It's a real problem. Like, as you know, stats says 1 in 10 is positive. So it's a real problem.
Yes.
And it's going to continue because we've got some success stories. Our PMTCT program is a success story for South Africa. That's preventing illness from transmission from mother to child. So that's our success story. We need to keep on moving in that same vein and continue success stories in every other group. Our adolescents are greatly affected. And so sexual debut starts earlier. And so we need to address the problem much sooner than waiting for the birds and the bees conversation a
Later
little
on in
bit
life.
later. Yeah.
Just before I let you go, I have to ask the question, what are the stigmas that I think we are completely missing at the moment? And what is the biggest one that I think South Africans are just choosing to ignore?
I think one of the labeling obviously is the issue. People still walk around with the, I don't want to say that I'm HIV positive, so I would rather say I've got TB. Because HIV positive status still carries a stigma, just the diagnosis carries a stigma. And in certain areas, I would say the more urban areas where it's more spoken about, it's less stigmatized, but if you're going to the rural communities, there's more of a stigma. So depending on the groups of people you interact with, the stigma will be more or less. So people would rather say something else, or it's easier to say I've got cancer or I've got TB than to
Because
say
it sounds like a brave thing to do, where you're stigmatized with HIV as though you had been sleeping around or something else had happened.
And there's a label attached to that. You're bad, you. And so those are the kinds of things around awareness that we need to address.
Yes.
And sooner. And continuous awareness programs, not a once-off, not only on a World AIDS Day, because today we have a big, we have a mass call and everybody's aware of it for one day, and then 364 days we just carry on as normal. So a continuous awareness. There's amazing things happening from our government. There's major partnerships, but I think we need to focus more on research, evidence-based research, getting data out, and then that filters down to policymakers, which filters down right down to district level. And
we can all play our part, basically.
Yes.
So, Colleen, it's an absolute honor to have you in the loft with us today. Lots of information I'm sure can come out of this.
Yes.
And the South Africans can definitely be involved. Make sure you play your part. If you're involved in any one of these industries or in a family or you're doing something amazing, make sure you get in touch with us today on our Facebook page, on our Twitter account, or 083-913-372. We'd love to hear from you. After the break, we're on the couch with legendary performer and HIV AIDS activist, Pieter Dirk-Uys. Don't go anywhere.
Give kids the gift of hearing this Christmas. Are you with us?
Welcome back to Afternoon Express as we try and shed some light on World AIDS Day. Our next guest joined us in the loft last month where we celebrated his illustrious career, but Pieter Dirk-Uys is also celebrated worldwide for being an ardent HIV AIDS activist and educator. Since 2000, he's been traveling around South Africa visiting more than 1.5 million school children, persons and reformatories to teach them about HIV and AIDS in his own unique way. And that way is through humor. Pieter Dirk-Uys, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I'm very interested to talk about your brand new show, For Fact's Sakes. Please tell us.
Well, first of all, it's a wonderful title to say slowly when you've had a glass of wine. It's about facts. That's what it's all about. It's about what is true and what is tweet, and what is real and what is fear. And humor is a great weapon of mass distraction.
Why?
Well, because when you laugh, you actually confront the reality of what's there. You know, I always say, laughter lets us exhale. Fear makes us go, and eventually we explode. But at least with laughter, you go, and it's not, I make a difference between comedy and humor. Comedy is the joke. Humor is really, truly confronting your fear. And being in charge of it. And of course, you go, gotcha. And when you go to a group of young people, and some of them are 7, 8 years old, they all know what it's about, but they don't know what it's about.
Okay.
And a 7-year-old girl needs to have the information about what can happen and what to do when it does. And the first thing is not to keep it a secret.
Yes.
You know, the secret kills.
Which happens mostly.
Absolutely. And the stigma and secrets are just... So my job is to go onto a stage at a school with 1,000 kids, sometimes sitting on a very damp cement floor because it rained in. I mean, there's no comfort. And you've got to be who you are, and I'm much older than them. And I say to them, listen, I'm 70, and you're 15, you're 12. Let's make a deal. You make me feel 16, I'll make you feel 24. And then suddenly there is no talking down or being the old toppie and wagging the old PV Buerta finger. And I've got to tell them the truth about my life, my fears, and the fact that humor saved my life because I could laugh at that fear when the apartheid government stopped me from doing what I was doing, and you could have just shrunk back. I shrunk forwards, you know, and sex is funny. I mean, sex is, you've got to, if you suddenly think that, God spent seven days making the world, and he suddenly thought, oops, I haven't made people yet, I'll quickly make a boy, and I'll make a girl. What do I do now? Oh, well, he can do nye, 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 nye. And while they're doing it, they can call out other people's names. Well, the 12-year-old kid laughs. Yeah. And the moment you actually diffuse the tension with laughter, it becomes a discussion.
But what is it about our culture that is so that has almost demonized sex, or made it this private thing that you must close off and never speak about? Why are our children not being spoken to about sex so freely, the way that you are trying to make it?
It's so interesting. I mean, listen, do me a favor. I never spoke about sex. First of all, I didn't understand half of it. Okay. Okay. And I say this to the kids. I say, when I was your age, all they spoke about was the birds and the bees. How does a bird, a bee? If you get my...
Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you use that word in a school hall, they'll listen to everything you say for the rest of your life. I mean, the kids go, how could he? The teachers go white. I mean, the black teachers go white. But the point is, it's not an example of free speech. That is where the minefield is. You've got to use the language that the kids understand.
What are they understanding? What are the kids using at the moment? Because, like we're saying now at the moment, with the infection rates that we're experiencing in our country, it is starting at a very, very young age. It's starting with abuse. It's starting with experimentation, without knowing fully what it means to go do what you're doing. It's through playing around. So,
yeah, but it's what we show them. If you look at Game of Thrones, you look at any TV series, beautiful people, thin women, sexy men who look just ready to do rude things. They sort of do rude things, and I'm not talking it down. I don't want to sound like an old toppy saying you mustn't watch the TV because it's full of rude things. The kids want to be beautiful, and they are. They're gorgeous. They might be 12, but on a Saturday night they look 16. And I say this to them. I said, listen, you're going to have a great time on Saturday night. You're not going to wear your police uniform, your prison uniform. You're going to, no, they're not. And you're going to have a party. Yes, I said, you're going to have a drink. No, no. I said, hey, I'm not telling you not to drink. I'm telling you, if you have a drink, can you think clearly? No. You do drugs? No, no. I said, I'm not being here judgmental. I'm just saying, if you have a Zol, can you think clearly? No. I said, you can't think clearly. You make one mistake, looking your best for the rest of your life changes. And you don't need it now. You've got to get out of school, you've got to be qualified, you've got to get out there, and you've got to move into Nkandla and become the next president of South Africa. And then they laugh. And the moment they laugh, somehow there's more of a acceptance that they're also part of the solution, not the problem.
But doesn't the laughter also distract them from the real message here? Because I get this fear that if we make a joke out of it, or not a joke, you said joke's different to laughter, making people laugh about this stuff, are we not just detracting from the real true message that we're in crisis, that your life is at stake here, people?
I know, but a child doesn't listen to that. Why should a child listen to those adult words? Why are we telling them that their lives are in danger? Why don't we solve the problem so they don't have that problem? It's not their problem. True. And the thing is, it all comes out. Yes, there is abuse, all those things you mentioned, but not all the children are abused. Some of the children come from great families. Yeah. The parents have never been actually given the freedom of expression because their parents, the grandparents, didn't have that expression.
So you're starting young.
And now, the reality is if we do not talk to our children, and this is something I know out of the experience of the last 15 years, kids don't know how to talk to their parents. When I talk to the parents, they say, how do we talk to our kids? Thank heavens you spoke to it, because now suddenly our children said, Pieter Dirk-Uys said those words, and we said, what? And the moment we got involved, we started sorting it out. And so the moment people feel strong enough to just talk about something that happened to them as well. Nobody wants to think about their parents having sex. And I'm not saying their parents must talk about it. But I can, because I come from nowhere. I'm not a teacher. Teachers can't use those words. And I don't want them to. Schools talk about condoms. I am not happy about the idea of handing out condoms. We're not handing out the solution until we actually understand the problem. And this is what I always say to young people. We want to beat the virus. We won't. Somebody else must work that out for us. But we can start understanding the virus. And if it's part of our lives, this is the pet that has adopted us and it's going to stay forever. Give it a name.
Yes,
exactly. Don't turn it into an enemy.
Sure.
And your life doesn't have to change.
Peter, I love this. I love this conversation so much because it is showing us that as a country, we do need to be a lot more open about these things because it is something we keep incredibly private. So I'm glad we have you on the show today. We'll be mentioning a little bit later on about the show that you're up to in the next few minutes or so, and I want to ask you about that later on. So don't go anywhere, South Africa, and neither do you. Should you go anywhere? Because after the break, we take a look at an interesting statistic regarding men and antiretroviral treatment. And in the kitchen, we're making a delicious baked peaches and vanilla whipped mascarpone. Sounds amazing. We'll be right back.
Troubled by irritated and scaly skin? Try Dermalex psoriasis.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. It's lovely to have you with us on this Tuesday afternoon. We're discussing World AIDS Day, and now we're focusing on something that I think is very important. Now, as antiretroviral therapy, or ART, becomes more widely available, issues of access are becoming more increasingly important. And in the years of ART, people were concerned that due to the gender inequalities, men might have better access to treatment than women. However, there is mounting evidence showing that fewer men are accessing antiretrovirals across Africa than women are. Joining us to get a better understanding of this phenomenon from the School of Public Health and Family Medicine is Dr Morna Cornell. Welcome to our loft.
Thank you.
So, Doctor, tell me about your research. Why did you go about researching this particular phenomenon?
Okay. So it's something that really started to interest me when I was doing my master's, and I was doing an analysis looking at mortality, in fact, in the Guguletu cohort where Colleen has worked. I was looking at mortality and whether there was a difference in mortality between men and women, and I found that men had higher mortality in this treatment cohort. And I started trying to understand that a little bit for my thesis, and I looked at what was being published right across Africa, across sub-Saharan Africa. And I found that there was study after study coming out saying this, saying men and women starting treatment, and what happens, men have got higher mortality. So I started getting quite interested in that and thinking, okay, well, why? And almost without exception, these papers would conclude that almost kind of blame men for that. They'd say, well, and why is that? It's because men have poorer health-seeking behaviour.
Sure.
Okay, so I was quite interested in this, and I thought, well, okay, is it real, whatever? So when I came to do my PhD, one of the papers that I really wanted to look at was to look at that in a huge group of patients. So I looked at about 50,000 patients where I had individual records of men and women starting treatment, and I looked at what happened to them over about 5-6 years of treatment. And I found that, yes, they did have higher mortality. And I started trying to think, well, is it the reasons that are given in the literature? Is it because men start, you know what men are like, they don't like to go for treatment. Very, very anecdotal. Lots of people say that. And that's what a lot of the literature said. It's because men don't like to go for treatment. When they do go for treatment, they're older, they're sicker, they're less likely to stay on treatment, they're more likely to be lost to a program, all of these kind of arguments. And so what I did was, using stats, and very, very careful and good methods, I looked at that and I found that out of all of those explanations, the only one that really did make a difference was their men starting treatment a little bit older and sicker than women. So if you had men and women starting treatment at the same stage of disease and the same age, it would reduce that gender difference in mortality by about 15%, right? But you still had about a 30% difference. Okay, and I was like, well, okay, well, what is that about? And that was really interesting because I got a colleague who's an actuary to create a kind of a hypothetical group of patients who were the same sort of distribution of ages and gender as the patients in our cohort. And then to look at what mortality would, but they were HIV negative, and then to look at what mortality was like there. So in our analysis, we found that after you'd adjusted for all these other, for starting later and whatnot, there was still about a 30% higher risk of death for men than for women. And we all thought, oh dear, they're doing worse on antiretrovirals. Actually, the fascinating thing was that when you looked at this cohort of HIV negative people, you found that not only was there a gender difference there, but it was much bigger. And so what is really interesting is that actually what is happening with HIV kind of opens your eyes to actually the invisibility of men's health more broadly, and the fact that men actually have a much higher risk of death for a whole lot of other reasons. There's a whole lot of other factors. And also that simply bringing men into treatment, even though they had HIV, was in some way protective. So just bringing them into care for HIV reduced their risk of a whole range of other things.
Sure.
So that's really where my interest grew.
Why the stigma? Why are men being overlooked?
I don't think it's a conscious thing. I don't think that anybody's ever sat down and thought, oh, well, we don't like men, they're bad, and we'll put them over there. But in a funny way, I think there is actually a little element of that, which is almost like we do. Like I say, we blame men for their own poorer health outcomes, and we say it's their own behaviour. Now, health-seeking behaviour isn't as simple as, like, do I go into a clinic, which is probably not offering me any services, and where the nurse might well be quite rude to me. What is a man doing in here? And do I go in there and ask for counselling and testing? And do I then know my status? It's not as simple as that. It's a very complicated set of behaviours. And yet, when it comes to antiretrovirals and HIV, we kind of reduce it to that. And I stepped back a little bit and I thought, well, actually, what are services offering men?
Yeah. So what do we do about this? How do we move our country forward in this regard to make men feel like they have got more of a space to go and get themselves tested, treated?
So first of all, men are much less likely to be tested. They're much less likely to be diagnosed with HIV and to be started on treatment. So we basically got to have campaigns that target men. in the places where they go, in the ways that are acceptable to them.
Makes them
And they are.
comfortable.
And it works. Where you do that, it works. In Kalecha, there's been a clinic that's been running where they had a walk-in clinic for men only during the day, and it was very, very high uptake of testing. So men were being tested, and it was amazing over 5 years. But it wasn't transferring into an increase in the antiretroviral uptake among men in the local clinics. But they then did a little survey with men, and they found out that the men wanted to go to a men-only clinic. And so then they ran the clinic in the evening, men-only clinic in the evening, and suddenly there's a huge uptake of antiretrovirals among men.
So it's the way that we are going about approaching these sort of treatment services.
I think it's a lot of that. I think it's also, how often do we ask men? How often do we listen to men? When you do, I'd be really interested to hear from your listeners about that.
Yeah, exactly.
How often have they ever, as a man, been asked about their own health?
Absolutely.
Because I think that's where I say, I don't think we consciously sort of demonize them, but sort of subconsciously.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Colleen. I appreciate it. If you guys want to send us your opinions and comments, like she did ask, at Afternoon Chat is our Twitter handle. Otherwise, you can comment one of our posts on our Facebook page. But Claire's standing by in the kitchen. I miss you. How's it going there?
Oh, I miss you too, Danilo. Maybe a little bit, not so much. Haha, jokes. Time for a little bit of sweetness in the kitchen. And we've got Jacques Erasmus, chef, artist, and restaurateur. Any more titles?
No.
Okay.
That should do it. Thank you, Claire.
Those are just as fabulous.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we making? Something delicious and peachy and seasonal.
Well, today I've sort of decided to share a very simple summer recipe with you. I think now that it's getting into the festive season, you know, it's so hot, nobody wants to stand and cook all day. So 100%. It's a very simple recipe with baked stone fruit, done with marsala wine, wonderful vanilla pods, and served with a vanilla whipped mascarpone.
Amazing. How do we get started?
So first of all, we've got some stone fruit. Now, you could use any stone fruit. I mean, this is just some nectarines. You could use peaches, cherries. So, I mean, this is really just going to be a bit taken out.
So popped into the roasting tray?
Pop into the roasting tray. Don't worry if they are not too pretty, because we're going to bake them in anyway.
And it kind of gives it that rustic feel.
Yes, exactly. So with this, we're just going to sprinkle it with some marsala wine.
Fantastic.
And then, of course, some brown sugar as well.
Can I help you out here?
Yes, please do.
And if we didn't want to use wine, what sort of non-alcoholic option could we use?
You could use fresh apple juice. You could use orange juice if you like. You could use agave syrup if you want.
Fantastic.
So it's really a recipe you can adapt as you go along.
And I mean, obviously, the Salati di Marrero sugar here just pairs beautifully with the peaches and has that stunning, unrefined brown sugar deliciousness to it.
Going to give that lovely caramel flavour to it as well.
Amazing. What's next?
Over we pop just some vanilla pods. We've taken out the seeds of these ones, so the seeds we will whip into our...
I was just going to say, we're not going to waste the seeds, are we?
That's the best part. So actually, vanilla, you know, is a part of an orchid. So it's the seed of an orchid, a lovely tropical orchid. So we're just going to do that, and then just a sprinkling of salt. You know, one lesson I've learned from a very wonderful Grand Dama food is that whenever you cook something sweet, you always add a pinch of salt.
Amazing, especially chocolate.
Exactly.
Oh, chocolate in it, just a pinch.
Exactly. This pops into the oven now. Roast about 45 minutes or so.
Okay.
Until it's really nice caramelized syrupy, and then basically that's what we have over here.
Oh, and it just smells and looks so delicious. All those juices coming out there.
Yes.
It's perfect for, like you say, a nice simple summer, sweltering, heaty kind of seasonal dish.
And it's something that is elegant, you know. It's something you can serve, you know, to a peasant or to a queen.
100%.
You know, so...
And everyone's going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, so what's next over
here?
here?
Over here we've got equal quantities mascarpone cheese and some creme fraiche. You could also just substitute it with double cream yogurt if you want it a little bit lighter, or low-fat yogurt. So we're just going to whip it all together for a few seconds.
Now start. What am I doing here?
Yes,
so a
please.
little bit of sugar?
We're going to add some caster sugar just to sweeten it slightly, because remember, we've got lots of sugar happening here. The seed of the vanilla pod.
There's that vanilla going in there, not wasting.
Yes.
And I'm just going to whisk it up here.
We're just going to whisk it just to lighten it up slightly.
Cool. So, and then obviously, you know, the measurements are on the website. So if you're not sort of catching anything, you can always go to the website and grab that. You'll see all the method and ingredients and everything right there for you. So that's looking like it's coming together quite nicely.
That is beautiful.
Stunning. Oh, and look at all the vanilla seeds. Today's been a day of vanilla. We did vanilla earlier in our dressing with the goat's cheese, and now we've got vanilla in our mascarpone. So I'm a happy camper. That
looks fantastic.
And now how are we going to dress this up and plate this?
So,
that plate is just stunning.
Thank you. I always love using black things with food, you know. It kind of just enlivens.
Pop,
exactly.
Right?
So this is just really informal. It's the kind of thing you would have, you know, on a lazy afternoon, a Saturday afternoon by the poolside. You could also, of course, avoid the mascarpone richness, and you just use vanilla ice cream. It's
or
fantastic.
A double yogurt. Or
double yogurt, sorbet, equally wonderful.
Amazing.
Very simple.
And you know, something like this sort of, it's simple, but when you put that on a platter, on a table, in front of everyone, everyone's going to be wowed.
It becomes elegant.
Yeah, absolutely. Elegance, detailed, and just delicious.
And then you could either serve it on the side, but you know, I just prefer to simply just put dollops of this in between.
Amazing, amazing. That looks unbelievable, and I think it's going to pair beautifully with our goat's cheese soufflé.
Voilà.
We've got quite a glamorous meal today, but simple. Simple but glamorous. Thank you so much, y'all.
You're most welcome.
And don't go away, because after the break, Yolanda's going to be performing for us. See you now.
Blended with treacle syrup, Salati Demerara makes delicious honeycomb, cookies, crumbles, brine marinades, and sweet potatoes. Salati, always good, always sweet.
Give kids the gift of hearing this Christmas. Are you with us?
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Dan and Claire show. It's been really awesome hanging out with all of you, South Africa. But Pieter, we want to find out about your new show. I'm very excited to hear about it. It's happening at Theatre on the Bay, 11 December.
Yes, Die van Aard is van Groot Oor. Snot and Trane boeredrama that I wrote in 1977. It got banned by the censors, so it can only be good and funny. And it's now a musical with fantastic music written by Godfrey Johnson. Young company of wonderful performers. And I'm directing it, and it is just so exciting. I can't wait for you all to come and see it.
Amazing. Tickets available online?
Absolutely, online, offline, everywhere. At the CompuTicket at the theatre.
Lekker.
Stand in the street and scream, "Waar's my kaartjie?"
Awesome stuff, guys. We have got a live performance for you right here on Afternoon Express. Being a Tuesday afternoon, it's quite out of place, but I'm very excited. We've got Yolanda Y'awa joining us in the loft with a song called Spider Spinning. Enjoy.
Spider in its web, patiently waiting to catch its prey. One door that closes, I write a new melody. Eventually, I know I'll get to the prize. Famba shishuma niseka ungathi wabo nezishuma niseka ungathi kibo. Soon you'll get there, keep your eye on the ball. Uno shita chete, step by step. Spider spinning in its web. Spider spinning in its web. Spider spinning in its web. I will we make of it. You're a crafter of your own destiny. There'll be many to put you down, but when you're down there, dig a hole, your treasure awaits you. Famba shishuma niseka ungathi wabo.
Yolanda Y'awa, what a beautiful performance. Step aside, Sam Smith. Step aside, Adele. We found the new soundtrack to James Bond. Yolanda, want to come and join us on the couch? I'd love to hear from you. One final comment. As a lady with such a beautiful voice and thriving in life, what is your message to South Africans for those who either are suffering with HIV or who are recovering or who potentially don't even know their status? What is that message of hope?
I would say that live your life with passion. Live your life that each and every day is your last one. And have fun, you know, and be happy and laugh and just relax. And to just know that each and every challenge is a beautiful flower if you just pay attention.
Beautiful. I love it. We're all just going to go, ha, 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 live our lives to the full. Absolutely right on World AIDS Day and Afternoon Express. Now, South Africa, make sure you join us again tomorrow for Afternoon Express and tune in early because we're chatting to TJ Njozela, the man who is walking from Joburg to Cape Town to raise funds for wheelchairs. And in the kitchen, we're making maple pomegranate glazed salmon. That sounds delicious. This looks delicious. Claire, well done. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all of our guests for joining us in the loft today. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow, South Africa. Good night. Happy eating.
Coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Express, we're joined by the man who is walking from Johannesburg to Cape Town to raise money for wheelchairs, and we take a look at integrated ability dance group called Unmute.
Another feel-good production.
Hello YouTubers, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel because we've got full episodes available for you. All those really cool interviews we've done, all the cool performances are right over there for you. So all you have to do is click subscribe. It's somewhere over here on this side of my face. Click it right now. Do it.